Hey, Judy, how are you?
Hey, how are you doing?
I am very well.
That's good.
Yes, 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 yes. Looks like Sharice is coming on board as well. What's going on, Sharice? What's going on, Judy? How
Um,
was y'all's week?
I mean, it's going.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
I have a client, and we're just having a a little, a hard time finding something in his range that he likes.
Okay.
And then every time we do find something, it's like it's not FHA approved. He's not approved for, you know, a lot. He's only approved for 200K.
Hello.
Okay. Hey,
But
Jay, how are you? Welcome
Doing well. How
aboard.
are you? Thank you.
Okay, so we're having challenges being able to find the right kind of property that will work for your client.
yeah, he's
And how does that make you feel?
very picky. I mean, I understand because I was the same way when I bought my first house. So I totally understand. I was in that boat. It's just that when I bought my home, the competition wasn't as bad
Right.
than it is now. Like there was competition, but it's not like this. And then, just with the FHA part, he's just getting a little frustrated, but I mean, it is what it is. I have to tell him, look, you have to pray on it. We got to just keep praying and speak it into existence. Manifest the home that you want.
Right, right, right. So, when it comes to clients, and this one I'm going to do I'm going to go into something a little bit different today on certain things that we have to do. Then I want you guys to tell me, like we're going to deal with what Judy is talking about right now, on how to handle certain things and what you can do to recreate or gain your clients' confidence and guide them to where they need to go. See, most clients don't know where they want to go. No, let me rephrase that. Most clients don't know where they need to go. They know where they want to go. But it's incumbent upon us to be able to now guide them to where they need to go based on what's going on in the market, based on what their needs are, based on what they can afford or not afford. And sometimes you got to have that firm, serious, nice, loving conversation with the client to guide them to where you want them to go. So, for example, one of the things that I normally will do in a situation where I have a client who has a budget of $200,000, but they want to look at homes who are, they want a detached home with a big yard and a basement, and if it
In a
doesn't,
garage.
yeah, in the garage, if it doesn't exist, I kind of do what you see them do. I kind of do what you see. Has any one of you guys seen the show Love It or List It?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And if you watch shows like that, what is one of those things that the guy does, the guy that does the listing? They tell him this is what they want, da, da, da. So he takes them to the very first house that he takes them to, in many instances, is the house that is completely out of their price range. Then they've either fall in love with that, then he goes, well, you can't get that based on what you told me you want. So they're either going to upsell themselves or they're going to face reality. Or what I find more effective is, because you don't have all that time in the world, and this is not a TV show, right? So what I find more effective is a client tells me my budget is $200,000. That's what I've been pre-approved for. But I want a boat to come with the house. And of course, I want it to be a penthouse. And I want this and I want that. I'm like, okay. And where would you like to live? Oh, by the way, I want to live in DC. I don't even want to live in, Maryland, because I don't like Maryland. I want to live in the city. So what do? I find the house that meets the need of what they want. and I put it alongside 2, 3 other houses, actually get, right? That it comes to reality. So you find that you blend them together. So maybe you put 3 or 4 houses together and you go and show them, starting with the one that meets their budget, all the way to the one that they could actually live in based on their approval. Make sense? So a client tells me, because this happens a lot, a client tells me, and oh, by the way, make sure you speak to their lender first. So if you get a referral, if you get a client and they want to buy a house and they told they've been pre-approved, make sure you talk to their lender first. Find out from the lender, what are they actually pre-approved for? Find out the lender, is it a conventional loan, an FHA loan, or VA loan? Because those different kind of loans will allow you to know exactly how to deal with those situations and know what you're looking for. And we can get into those different parameters, why certain different loans matter and all that kind of stuff. But once you speak to their lender and you know the certain parameters and the things that is important, and now they are approved for 350 or up to 350, they can do 350. But the client is saying to you, I only want to do $200,000, or I only want to have a mortgage of $1,000, but I want all these great things that I just told you. And I want to live in Northwest DC, or I want to live in Upper Marlboro in Bowie. So what do? Set up a search for them. Do we all know how to set up a concise search that will allow your clients to see every single thing possible that you can merge in there? Or would you like us to go right now and do a quick search of practical ways of what we're talking about?
So Jimmy, I know how to do it in Bright. Like, I've been using Bright the most, but if you can do it in KV Core, that would be great.
Okay, Bright always is what I'm going to tell you to do.
Oh, okay.
I'll show you how to do KV Core. Can you see my KV Core screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'll show you how to do it in KV Core, but Bright is the best. So to show you real quick how to do it in KV Core, the reason why I prefer to use Bright is because if you do it in Bright, you have a bigger pool. If you do it in KV Core, sometimes you're not going to get the best pool. So how you do it
Okay.
Sorry?
Yes.
I think that
It's breaking up.
yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, it's clear now.
Okay, so to do it in KV Core, I go into Alert, right? This one is not set up, so I click that one because I want to set it up there, right? Then you can go over here in this section. You can do it by city, county, or zip code. You can even do it by the map. So if I want to do it by the map, I click on the map, and they told me they want to live in Bowie. So I just type, I don't need to have the exact address. I just do Bowie. I got so much crap on my computer. Sometimes you overshadow stuff. So I put in Bowie, Maryland over there. Then I draw the area. So this is Bowie. I can minimize that, expand that. I can say, okay, Bowie, let's start from there. And I draw the map. I do that. You go to where you want, boom. You've drawn it, you apply that section. It's going to bring all properties over there. The only ones, townhouses or single family homes. When you start typing, start coming up. Here we go. He's not responding to me today, but this is what you do. You start typing townhomes. If that's what they're looking for, it should work, but it's not. There's something going on in the system. But you type in townhomes. They don't want to do more than 350. You know that they approve up to 350. So I'll do 350 as my max. You can even do 100,000 to 350 or $1 to 350, whatever you want to do. They told you they want 4 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms. You do 3 plus. You do 2 plus for bathroom, and that's it. If they're specific about years, you can put that in there. But we leave it like that. That's it. Then you do your frequency. You want to do it once a week, ASAP, daily. You change that. We do daily. You can CC, if they give you another person's email they want to copy, you can do that there. And once you finish that, boom, you go back, you come back up here, and you're gonna click, let me move this because I can see really, okay. So you can either click set alert, but I do save and send. If you do save and send, you automatically start bringing in properties that are similar to that when it comes up. And this is kind of like what they're going to see that falls in that range, right? So that's how you do it over there. But again, like I said, Bright MLS is better, is easier because you get better things. And again, very roughly, very quickly, let's do that real quick. I know you all know how to do this, but I just want
Thank
to
you.
give you a quick, you know. So
Yeah.
we go here, I log in. You all can see my Bright MLS, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we go into Bright and he's working, he's thinking. Here we go. So I go into search, and again, client tells me they want, you can do your search by city, you can do it by county, you can do it by zip code if you prefer. So depending on what they tell you, I don't do it by subdivision and all that. That is way too much, you know, and it limits what you can search. So I go by city. They want Bowie. So we're going to put Bowie in there. It comes up. They want Laurel, Maryland as well. We do Laurel. Make sure you don't pick Laurel, Delaware. We pick Laurel, Maryland. Oh, they want somewhere in Crofton. We can do that too. We put Crofton on there. See how it quickly begins to come up with that. And they also want Beltsville. So it searches and boom. So you've gotten 4 cities that they would love to live in. I do it with that. Then they told me they want minimum 3 bedrooms. They want 4 or 5. Just put, you know, you can do minimum 3 or minimum 4, depending on what they're looking for. They want minimum 3 bathrooms. You do that. If they give you a price range, set the price range here. If they don't worry about it. If you have a price range, let's say, again, 350, again, we're going to go, I'll say 100 too, because this client is telling me, oh, no, I only want $1,000 payment. So I'm going to do 100 to 350. This way, they'll see anything and everything, you know, and I'll come down there where it says fee simple. You want a fee simple property, especially if they're looking for detached. So I do fee simple and I can do detached. Now, what if this client says to me that they would love to find detached, semi-detached, all of those? How do you do it in the MLS? You press on a PC. I don't know how to do it on a Mac. I think you press Command. But on a PC, you press Control and you keep clicking every other thing and it highlights all of that. Everybody got it? Because
Yes.
that lets you know how to learn. Yeah. So you do it like that. And at the bottom, it tells you 14 properties match. I'll stop selecting options at this point because the more options you're selecting, the narrower your search becomes. So you don't want it to be too narrow. You want to, you know, have as big of a gap as you want. But now, based on the fact that anything up to a maximum of $350,000, we have 14 properties. You click results, it pops up with the results. Then you go ahead and you select all of them. Then you go into your cart. If you already have the client's name in the cart, you set it up. If you don't, you can click it if you do. If you don't, go to new cart and set it up. And just say buyer, or you can give it a name or whatever, because you can use this cart for another client as well if you have another client that is similar to that. So you don't have to keep going through this all the time. So I can say buyer 350K below, 350K or below, right? So any other client that tells me they're looking for properties in that neighborhood, I can use that, right? If I have their name already, I do it. If I don't, I create a new contact. So I'm just going to use one that I have in there for the purpose of, you know, saving time, so we can delve into a few more things. So you click save, it selects all that, it tells you the buyer's name. I can add all of it to that, is added. Then I go to my save, then I click on new auto email, and I go back here and I click the client's name again, James Test is who I'm using here. And I can put up here for subject title, I can say your home search. Your home search under 350K. You know, whatever topic you want to give it to. I know my spelling is horrible. Don't worry about that. Charge it to my bad English, not anything else. So we're just gonna go with that. We're gonna say your home search under 350K. Then I come down here, I enable concierge mode, and I make sure I do not do reverse prospecting. The reason I don't do reverse prospecting is I don't want the agent on the other side contacting my client. That's the reason I don't do that. I enable concierge mode because I want to know so I can go in there and see those properties if I need to make changes, if I need to remove anything, and then I send it. Then I go to save, go to approvals, and I approve all the 14 properties. My client is going to get the information, and I'm also going to get the information in my email. It's going to alert me. The other thing that does is it lets me know when this client actually opens the email. If they never open the email, I will know. If they do, I will know, because this way you know when to follow up and how to follow up. So that's what you do on that. Any questions so far?
Yeah. What about the enable as favorite search on home tab 10 maximum? Right underneath to show this contact and reverse prospecting results.
Okay, let me go back there. It says enable as a favorite search on home tab. Yes.
Yeah. What is that for?
But you can only do 10 maximum.
Okay.
So it will only display your favorite searches for 10 maximum for that client. So I don't, that limits the number of things that you can put in the favorite. So let's say, for example, if you enable that, then it means your client, when they go in there and they start selecting properties they like, let's say they have 15 that they favor, they can't do it. They'll only be able to do 10 max. So you can use that to control how many they save.
Got it.
So you can use that to actually win them down from loving every single property, if you want to do it like that. Yeah. So that way you manage what they see, what they look, or what they favor, because then you don't want your client telling you they love all the 500 properties that you send them and they cannot decide. So you could use that for that purpose. You could use that for that purpose. So Judy, does that kind of answer your question a little bit? But let me go to the meat of what you were saying, though.
I know how to do this part. That's what you showed me before. It's just finding him properties in his price range.
So to get to the meat of that, one of the things, like I said, that I do is I select properties, the worst of the worst, what is reasonable, what they can get, and then I actually marry those together and put maybe 3 or 4 together, show them the most horrible, show them what is real, what is realistic that they can get, and show them also something that if they're willing to treat themselves, understanding that this is a legacy for them, they might be able to move themselves up there.
Right.
Because what you do is when you show a client a mixture of that, they will either upsell themselves or answer that question that you were trying to get them to answer, which is, what I'm looking for is unrealistic. I need to change my perspective.
Right. And I think that's where, I was trying to nicely, say to him by sharing my experience and, say to him, yes, we want the best of the best for our first property, but we have to look at what is out there in the price range in order to, choose, because that's what you have to choose from.
Correct.
And once we started looking, he kind of got it. But then we did find a very nice property. The only problem is they only want conventional or cash. And he has a FHA. And, I already have his pre-approval letter and things. So he's pre-approved through SunTrust, and, they gave him everything that he needs, and he's approved until November. So I told him to try to go back to SunTrust and see if there's another option for him.
What I'll do if I was you in that situation is, you did right by saying go back to SunTrust. But one of the things that I would do as the agent is I will actually call the lender myself and have a conversation with the lender. Hey, Mr. Lender, Mrs. Lender, I want to know your client, this client is only approved FHA. Can we do a conventional loan?
So is it okay for us to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I didn't know, because I'm telling him to reach out to the lender because for me, I understood the process when I was buying my first home. So it was just like me, I was on it, and plus I read contracts for a living. So I understood it, but he was having a hard time. So I didn't know I could do that on his behalf because he doesn't know what to ask them.
Right. Don't forget, your job, my job as an agent is we to provide the solution for every single thing as much as we can. Whether we can resolve it ourselves or get the professional that can do it. If something that I cannot do, then I get the professional to do it. But I'm the lead in it. Because just like you said, they might not know the question to ask their lender. And the lender, even though if they ask some questions, the lender could, one, get irritated and don't want to answer that question because they can feel that they're questioning their motive. Or the lender could be like, that's, why do you need to know that and all that? But if you as the agent get involved and you call the lender, you actually, the lender understands and knows that, okay, now you know why you call it. You resolve the problem. I like to resolve my client's problem because whatever you know and you can control, easier and better. Because I don't want the buyer coming back to me and telling me something that may or may not be true. Practical example, I had a client that when we started the process and I spoke to the lender and he was like, he wants to buy in DC. Then all of a sudden, he only wants to buy in DC and he wants a $200,000 property in DC. So I spoke to the lender told me, yes, it's possible. This is the thing, blah, blah, blah. But in my conversation with the lender made me understand that this has to be his own property if he's going to use his VA benefits. It cannot be a rental. It cannot be any of those. So I got information from the lender. When I took him out, my conversation with him, because I already had the back of my head, but when I pulled up and I saw the guy, he pulled up in a Mercedes-Benz. So ding, ding, ding in my head, I'm thinking Mercedes-Benz is carrying himself like, he owns the world. And we're going to look at this property that is listed for $200,000 that is a teeny little bit property. So my question in my head was, is he going through a divorce? What's the point on everything? I didn't ask those questions, but I'm just putting things in my head. When we got in there, I began to ask him leading questions. What are you going to use this house for? What is your plan? What is your goal? What are you trying to achieve? Because this one looks like, a starter-up home. Are you thinking about investment and everything? Ding, asked the right question. And he said to me right off the bat, I want to buy this for my daughter to live in so that she can get a roommate and rent another room out. I already had a conversation with the lender. He has to live in the house. So instantly, I began to re-educate him and tell him what we can and cannot do. And then all of a sudden now he wants to start changing things. About a week later, now he wants to do a construction loan instead. I'm like, okay, wait, slow down. It seems that you don't understand the kind of loan that is being done for you. You can't get a VA loan and do a construction loan. That's a totally different kind of loan. So that's why it's important for you as an agent to have a conversation with a lender to know what they can and cannot do. And as the lender, can you change this client to a conventional loan? Because most of the properties that we're seeing is FHA and they don't qualify. So if the lender says to you off the bat, no, they cannot do a conventional loan because of their debt to income ratio or because they don't have enough down payment, then you can now go back and say, Mr. Client, this is what the reality of where we are. I had a client today that every single property I showed her, they were just not good enough. They had to be perfect. So I had to have a firm conversation. I said, listen, let's face reality here. There's no property that I'm going to show you. You're going to have to spend some money or do some things to it because you're not going to love all of them. They're not perfect. Maybe we need to go start looking at new construction. Sorry, Sharice.
I just want to find out if there's anybody else that hears you breaking up, or if it's just me.
Oh no, it's going in and out, Sharice.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going
So,
in and out, but
Jimmy,
it turns back up.
you're going in and out like almost ever since you've been talking. I don't know what the difference is, but I just wanted to let you know.
I apologize. I didn't know I was going in and out.
Okay, that's a lot better.
Okay.
Your video is not going to sound as crinkly.
Wow, I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
My bars are saying I've got full. Sorry about that. So, but what I was saying is, there will be times that you need to have that firm, honest conversation with your client. You know, you gotta let them understand. If you want something, there's some things that you have to give up or some things you have to get. But it's important that you have that conversation with the lender. Try not to send them to the lender themselves if you can. Develop a relationship with the lender so that you know exactly what you're dealing with or what you have to do or change to educate your client. What did everybody hear, or was I
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I was
Yes,
thinking
we
about,
heard it.
because I have his I just pulled up his pre-approval, and it has his loan officer's information on there. So I guess I'll give her a call tomorrow and have a conversation with her to see what can be done.
Yes. So one of the things that I do, I make this a point every single time, whether I have a referral or I'm dealing with a client of my own, I make it a point to do this. And I'm going to implore you all to do this, because if you do this, this will make your life so much better. I communicate with every single lender that I have. I prefer to, guide my client to a lender. But if they come to me and they already say they have a lender, sometimes I slow walk them to it, to see where we are. I have a client that says to me, nope, I want to go with my credit union. I told them the pros and cons. And I said, if you need me to connect you, I can connect you to a lender. But I let them walk through whatever works for them, right? But what I always make sure I do is this, to give you an idea. This is a lender. I always do this. I introduce myself to every single lender. Whether the buyer is the one that gives me that or not, send them my digital business card, and I put a little note there and I tell them what I'm trying to do. This is the client. I would like to talk to you about the client. I would like to talk to you about the client. I want to, can we get some time to talk? I always introduce myself. Do that as a matter of practice. Number two, do that as a matter of practice with the other agent on the other side as well. If you're writing an offer on a property that is being listed, send them your digital business card and send them a text. This one says, "Hi, Pete, such and such person just gave me your number and told me that you're the lender of record for this client. So can we talk? When can we talk? I would like to get some information." That's it. Always introduce yourself. You don't even need to call them. If they have a mobile number, text them first, see how quickly they respond. And then that way you send them that, you warn them, and you go about your business, then boom, you can now make that phone call. Make sense? Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Jimmy, I heard you say pros and cons of a credit union versus a lender. Can you review those?
So pros is the client already loves them because they do business with them. Pros, it's my credit union, they're good to me, they rate are good, all excellent. Pros, the client just is in love. It's hard to separate them from their credit union.
Okay.
Cons, you can't talk to that lender. It could take you days to be able to get a hold of that lender. Most credit unions, all they do is based on relationship, they approve their clients. They haven't gone through the paperwork. They haven't received any documentation. So there is no guarantee that is a true approval. Cons, you can't call them after hours. Cons, you cannot, they're just a number to them. So it's harder when you get a pre-approval from them to actually be able to ascertain if it's a true pre-approval or not. So how do I overcome that with my clients? I tell them, I've got, which is true. And even if you don't, tell them, I do business with Penn Fed, Navy Fed, USA. Yes, I love them. They're great. In my opinion, they're great for refinance. They're not great for a purchase. However, because you already have a relationship with them, I want you to still go ahead and use them. If you don't mind though, let me introduce you to your local lender. If they say to you, no, I'm not interested, leave it alone. Don't push it. But you tell them the reason why. Another reason why I want you to use a local lender or a lender that I work with a lot, and I've got several. This is how you tell them. The reason why I want you to work with a local lender one of the ones that I work with is because in this market, my job is to work for you to make sure that when we go out and we find the property that you are in love with, that we can write an offer and you're guaranteed that when my lender gives you that pre-approval letter, you are guaranteed that it's as good as real cash in your hand. Because in this market, time is of the essence. We cannot waste time or drag our feet while we're trying to get the lender that we can't get a hold to in the middle of the night to give us a pre-approval letter. Offers are already written. Agents on the other side are already thinking, I don't want that offer because they cannot get a hold to that lender. Because most listing agents that is worth their salt will call the lender of record when you send your contract in. They want to know if they can talk to that person. They want to know what work that lender do on behalf of this agent. Is this a real pre-approval or is this a pre-qualification? So I explain that to my client. I want to put you in a position to win. That's the reason why. Now, if you still end up deciding that you want to go with your own lender, that's fine. But we can get information on both of them. Let's get this going once we find the property. And if you need to change, we can always change. You can always write an addendum. I hate to do it, but you can always write an addendum. You can always change a lender if you're still within your, your time frame. You can always do that. And most agents will not care as long as it doesn't affect the terms of the loan or the settlement date. So you're fine. But my job, your job is to always make sure that we're thinking of the solution, because you're trying to take your client where? To the settlement table. You're trying to take them where? To the winning offer. So our job is to constantly figure out ways to get them there and to provide that solution for them. Question. Next topic. What do you want? Because I got something big that I'm going to ask you all by the time we're done. So next question, next topic we need to tackle. Talk to me.
CMAs, can you show us your recommended method for completing CMAs?
For doing CMAs? We're going to
creating a CMA.
For doing CMAs, right?
Can you repeat that? You're still kind of gargled.
You said my method of doing CMAs?
Well, yeah, I'm asking for yours because I would assume that yours was very efficient.
I don't know if it's efficient. I've got different ways of doing it, but I use the RPR more than anything else.
What did you say? The RPR?
Now, yes. Can you see my screen now that is going in circles?
Yes.
Okay. This is what I use. So let me log out so that way you can see it. So let me
I'm gonna tell you, Jimmy, I'm trying to go through and set up everything, all the sites and all the free offerings, but it's so many things. I'm surprised it's only $80-some a month.
I know.
I
So
totally understand how you feel because I didn't know what we had when Jimmy showed me this. I didn't even know this existed. There's so much, like so many things you can go into and find them
Yes.
all. It's just you're not gonna find them by yourself.
so
Right. And that's why I said the most efficient way, because I know Jimmy knows.
I'm trying to see if
So you're still in Bright.
get into. Yeah, I'm in Bright now. It's actually part of your Bright package, but I'm trying to see if.
Okay.
Manny, do you know how to get into it from Bright?
No, not from Bright.
Okay, not from Bright. Okay, so this is what you do though. So you go into, you type in narrpr.com, narrpr.com. If you type in narrpr.com, it's going to take you in, it's going to look like this. So narrpr.com.
I think I'm going to create a cheat sheet for all the stuff that we get through EXP.
That's fine. Once you do this,
because I feel like we're going to never find all this stuff.
You will, because what you do is I pin everything on my desktop.
Yeah.
The more you use it,
now to look for it.
Yeah, but the more you use it, you're gonna get comfortable with it, and you're gonna know the things that you constantly use all the time. And then you just pin it, because that's what I do too. I pin it to my desktop so I can always easily go there. If you're using a Mac or Mac, any kind of Mac, you're gonna have to like put it, add it to your reading list.
Or bookmarks.
Or
create
bookmarks.
a folder in your bookmarks. Mine is, it says like EXP, and I just put it all under that.
Exactly.
Because hitting it on the Mac, it just makes your search bar small. So,
are you telling me something? I'm like so frustrated with my Mac. Sometimes I'm like, I can't figure anything out. Sometimes I'm like, oh, let me just go back to the PC.
I love it though. I love it. I'm not switching back.
It's very fast. And right now, I'm not even doing this on my Mac because I'm like, I'll be confused sometimes to how to share screen and things like that. But if you go into your NAR then it's going to say create a new account, or create an account if you've never done it before, right? So you create your account and boom, you're in. It's very easy. If you're having problems with it, call me during the day or something tomorrow, or if you want later on, I'll show it to you. If anybody that is having that issue, call me or whatever, I'll walk you through it. We can get this done. But for the purpose of this, right? So you log into this, and I save my password and everything. It's free for you. You already pay for it, okay? So I go into this. It takes you right to home. And up here, you can either go commercial or you can go residential. Residential is that's the world we live in and what we're doing. And this is how you start. So I can just start with an address. When you start typing the address, it's going to come up to whatever is closest to that address. So for the sake of doing, I'm just going to select this property. And once I select this, then I come down here. It tells me what this house has been listed for because it's on the market. It tells me what the RVM is. What is RVM? RVM is just an estimated value. Is an estimated value. I say that it's I don't know what the actual acronym is or what it actually, but the idea is it's a computer generated piece of information that averages properties out just the same way as like an AVM. An AVM is an average. Let me let Manny back in. We lost him. Sorry, Manny. We got you back. You're sideways though. But so your AVM or RVM is your average. So it gives you those numbers, right? That's what the RVM or is. Then you want to create your own CMA. So you click on create CMA. And it automatically will either give you the comparative analysis, which is just built on an estimate, or you want a sales comparison. The reason why you want a sales comparison is it's more detailed, is the closer to what an appraiser will use. Remember, disclosure, we are not appraisers. We are just trying to do a comparative market analysis. So we're doing the sales comparison analysis. We select that. Then we go into the part that says edit. On this particular one, what you're trying to edit is you want to put on there how many bedrooms, only change the facts. So if let's say, for example, this is automatically saying it's 3 bedrooms. If it's 4 bedrooms, you change that to 4. If it's 2.5 bath, you change that to what your full bath is, 2, and what your half bath is, 1. And that's it. Then you now go all the way up, and then you update that information. It goes through the circles, and then it comes to this. Now, because I've already done this before, it's got the properties in there, but we want to redo this. So I'm going to go to edit. Everything else will be already selected for you, the things that are important. What you need to change or add is you want to add is giving you the active for sale, what's pending. You want to add active under contract. Your close is all there. If you want to, you can exclude distressed properties, because let's say you're looking at a property that is in a nice neighborhood, is all done up, renovations are done and everything. You don't want to include any distressed property, a short sale or a foreclosure. You don't want to include that in there because that will affect the value of your market analysis, right? So you don't want to include anything distressed. Am I still coming out clean or am I muffled?
You sound a lot better now.
Okay. It must be the fact that I'm trying to talk fast. So, if you need to exclude, you exclude that. For the purpose of this, I'm not going to do anything there. It's going to do within last 6 months. That's what you want. Proximity, you want to always do within a 1 mile radius. If you cannot find enough properties, you can go to a 2 mile radius. So you can select that, but you want to give deference to properties that are within a 1 mile radius when you search it. Then you scroll all the way up, and then you click on your search. It comes up with all these properties, and you scroll down. I've got 43 sold properties. What I'm going to do on this side, though, is this. Because I already have these comps on there, I'm going to remove them all because I want us to start afresh, right? So we remove that. Now, what you're looking for is you're looking for something that is close, that is similar to the property in question. So part of what you want to do is you go back up here. You're looking for properties that are built in 2000, or you want to go 5 to 10 year swing maximum. So this house is built in 2000. It means I can go as far back as 1990, don't want to, but I can go as far back as 1990 if I don't find properties that are within 5 years. Well, 5 to 7 years is what you want. So really, I can go as new as 2007, or I can go as old as 1997. Is that correct? No, 1993. Right? 93 plus 7 is 2000. Yes. So I can go as far back as 1993, or I can go 2007. So I can do that swing. That's a wide swing, but I want to still narrow it closer. So what that means is if I can find properties that was built, in 2000, I give preference to that. If I can find anything that was built in 1995, that's my sweet spot. So 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000. That's where I want to be. If I'm going, I can go 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So that's a huge range. So you want to make sure that you're not too far out, to get something that is identical to that. You also want to make sure that you're looking for things that are 3 bedrooms and 3 baths. You want to do that. You want to make sure you're looking for something that is close in the living area, in the square footage of the property. Those are your main 3 criteria. So now we start searching. This first one is only 13 miles away. This will be an ideal property. The only problem here is it was built in 1999, which is very close. I could use this property, but it's only 6,648 square foot, which is, and in that same instance, he's not talking about the living space. He's actually talking about the actual land, the entire lot size. See the lot size? So it's a much smaller property. So I'll avoid that. Square footage is 1,800 square foot. The one that we're looking at that we're comparing is 23. If you don't have any property that is close, you could use this property, okay? So, but let's see if we can find other things that is better, is closer in proximity to this house. That's what we really want. This third house, built in 1997, it would be a good house to use. The only reason is that I will not use it is it's got 5 bedrooms and 4 baths. The subject property is 3 bedrooms and 3 baths. I'm sure we can find something else that will be closer, right? And that's the process
Can
of
you sort?
Sorry?
Can you sort? Does that allow you to sort so that you can have them lined up? You can sort them by beds, baths within this.
Yes, you
search.
can.
No, go down.
You can do that in your modified search. You can definitely do that. But I try not to do too much.
I mean, up here, the header, like below modified search, like right here where it says, right here, but go over to the right where it says beds and baths.
Oh, like right here?
Yes.
Let's see. Yeah.
Okay. So then you just scroll down.
Yeah. So now it's showing you the ones that are 6 bedrooms and 3 baths first. So you keep going. Yeah. So you can do that. Yeah. You could do that. And if you click it again, I guarantee it's going to change to give you, yeah. So you can definitely do that. So now it's showing you 3 bedrooms baths first. Yeah. So you can definitely do that. So we're looking for 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. The first one, now that we changed that, I would choose this property right here. Why? Because it's 3 bedrooms, 4 baths. It's got approximately the same it's got the same lot size. This one is a 1/4 acre. This property that we're looking at is a 1/4 acre. And you see, it's 0.27 acres. So they're same lot size. And, it was built in 1992. I will use that, and if I find something better, I can remove that. But for now, I'll use it because it's only 1,800 square foot, but I use it because the system is going to make amends for that. And I can keep going and say, okay, well, oh, by the way, another thing you could do is even before you pick, you can just look through and see. Unfortunately, I haven't seen one, but sometimes it will tell you a property that the system is picking. So there is none here, for example. The system could pick a property for you and it will put an asterisk, it will put a star next to it to tell you that that is a good property to put in your mix, So, but this one doesn't have any. So that'll be the first one I'll pick. Then I go down, I'm looking again to see square footage. I still haven't seen anything. That's 1987 is too old. 64 too old. So I don't want that. Oh, here we go. 2000. This one was built in 2000. Approximately the same kind of lot size. Is a 3 bedroom, 4 bath. We'll pick that. It's only 0.69 miles away. It's in the same zip code. It's in the same area. It was closed in less than a month ago, right? Or about a month ago. So that's 2. You want to pick 3 sold properties. So we keep going and hopefully we'll find another one. This is another one in 2000. And also you can look at pictures and see, does it look similar to the property in question? That could be another thing that you could use, So You could choose that. Or I could even come down. Well, I would have loved to pick this property right here. It's 3-bedroom, 3-bath, very close in square footage. Problem is, it was built in 2020. So I can't use that. You know, it's much newer. So the house we're talking about was built 20 years ago. So I'll avoid choosing that, right? This is another one, 1993, you could choose that. This one is 78, I won't choose that. You know, so that's kind of like how you go. I could choose this one that is 2000, but guess what though? This house is more acreage, is a little bit bigger. And looking at the picture, yes, it is indeed bigger. So it would be unfair to pick that. You can, but it will be unfair to pick that. I want something that reflects more. So I'm going to go back up here to this one that was very close. It's built in 2000, very close to that property, about the same size in living space. 2,100 square foot, that one was 23. So that's my third one that I'll pick. So now you got 3 sold. The next one you want to go now, you want to go down to where you have your for sale or active under contract. So we go down till we get to this section, and then you see it says for sale properties found to use as comps. So now we can go and say, oh, look at this first one right here, 1,700 square foot. This is close 98. This would be ideal, but it's a much smaller house. So I'll pass up on that. This is closer in every way. It's actually very close in every way, and it's pending right now. And it's on the same street as that particular house. I'm definitely picking this because it's 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. It's built in the same year. So I'm picking that as part of my comps. Then I come down, 1980, I'll skip that, too old. 1994, I'll pick this, it's close. It's close. It's 1.33 miles away, but it's very close. Close in square footage, close in the year that it was built. That's an ideal property. Then I come down, and any questions, please stop me.
I was gonna say the one for 2006 that was built in 2006. Is that too?
So this
That's
one's
not too old, is it?
2006. I purposely didn't pick it because I was hoping that
Because it
someone was
has
going to
4.
tell me why not. That's an ideal property to pick because it's the same square footage, built 6 years after, same acreage. So you can pick that. So now you have your three, you know, for sale. You don't want more than 6 properties. That's all you want, really. So 3's closed, 3 pending, mixture of pending, for sale, under contract. So once you pick all of that, you can either go all the way to the bottom and update your valuation, or you can go to the side of there and update your valuation. Once you do this, once you get up here, now it gives the weight to all of them. Let's take a look at the way it weighted all the comps. You can actually make adjustments here if you want to, but I don't, because I don't want to over-influence the system. I just want the system to give me a generic average of what we're looking at. Remember, we are not appraisers. We just want to use these to advise based on what the market is telling us and what's going on. So, and at this point, he's already telling me what the price on this property is. He's telling me what I should be expecting to sell this thing for. I want to move this away. So then once you do that, you click on update. Once you click that, if it doesn't go through, it's going to come up with this. See what it did? And there's a red sign over here. It's because there's too many characters here. You see what it did? So all you got to do is, it doesn't matter, just trying to remove as many properties, as many characters in there as possible until it changes blue. Once you do that, then you update again, and voila, it tells you what the result is, 455. Then I create the report. Once you set everything up correctly, your image, everything will be on there. Now I can send this to the client. So the client will now see, you put their name on there, you know, whatever, and then you go up here, you send them the email make sure you put the email. It will always CC you. Once you do that, you click run report. Let me just put an email address on there so that it can go through and we can see the full purpose of what we're talking about. You do that and you click run report. It's going to generate. This is going to pop up. In about 2 minutes or so, it will tell you you can close that and get out of that and go on with your business. And once it generates, it's going to ding and it's going to send it to them, and you're also going to get a copy. Now, when the client gets that, now you can advise them and say, okay, based on what I just ran. Now, notice I just ran 2 different reports and I used different properties. We just did it right now. I've done this before. So if you do it right and you're not being biased in any way, look, the one, I just did one before, it told us 455, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one that we just did now. The one that I did before, look at what it says. About the same, 465. So if you pick the right kind of properties and you're not trying to influence the system one way or another, it's going to stay consistent. So how do you read this? So up here, it says 465. This is the result of my sales comparison. Based on the properties that sold in that market, it says the range is anything from 455 to 475 of properties that compare. It says right now this house is listed for 430. It says the current estimated value of the property is 422. Your client will say this to you. Whoa, wait a minute. So what's the difference? You say my house is only worth 422, but you're saying to me that sales comparison is 465? Yes. The difference between this RVM and this comparison is the RVM is the system generated, doesn't take into consideration any renovations you may or may not have done. It's just saying this is what the computer generation says your property is worth. Based on your experience and you now actually taking properties that really sold in that neighborhood that compares, that's what that 465 is. That report just finished generating. So let's go and open that report. And the one that just generated right now says 455. Told me exactly what it's listed for, and the current estimated value is no different, right? So that's the thing. So that current estimated value is always going to stay the same because that's what the system says. But now look at the difference. Look, and this is why this is important. Look at what the comps that we picked this time around was ranging between 380,000 to 535. So you can pick as wide a range of comps. Even if you pick ones that are lower, the system is still gonna say to you, is we still within around that 455, 465. So now you can use this to advise your client. So Mr. Client, if the client says to you, what should I list my house for? Well, based on this particular one, the range of properties in your neighborhood is 380 to 535. It's telling me that the sales comparison analysis says your house is worth 455. If I'm advising you on what to sell your house for, I don't want to go low. I don't want to go too low to 380. I definitely don't want to go low to 422. And I definitely don't want to go all the way to 535. And I most definitely don't want you to list your house for 455. The potential is there that you get 455. But my recommendation to you will be to list this house for anything between 422 and the 455. The reason why I want to list it somewhere between that is you don't want to be too low and people think maybe something's wrong with the house. You don't want to be too high that you cut everybody else off. You want to put it in a sweet spot so I can have a wide range of people coming in, looking at the property, falling in love with it, and then making their own decision on what is this house worth to me. So if I'm listing this property, Mr. Client, that's the right spot. 430 is where you want to list it. You're higher than what it says the current estimated value is, but you're lower than what it says the maximum is. Questions?
Okay, so I have a question. For this property that you did, it was already listed, but properties we're going to be doing, well, that we're gonna probably be doing, they won't be listed. Does that mean anything?
Mhm. It
The
does.
fact that it says list price, because this is a property that is already listed.
So what we just did now is the exact same thing that you'll do if you were listing a property for someone, and it's the exact same thing you do when you want to write an offer for a buyer. It's the exact same
But it's
thing.
just not gonna say list price.
Correct. Because
Okay.
this list price that we're looking at over here is what it is on the market for. So the agent's already done the due diligence and they said, this is what, they did this exercise that we did, and they said, this property, this is what we believe is the right price to put this house on the market for. So they went through this exercise that we just did, and that's what they came up with. So if you were on the buyer side and you represent the buyer, you were doing the exact same thing I just did, but this is now where your I'm looking for the word, but it escapes me. But this is where your terminologies and the use of words on advising your client is different. So now I'm representing the buyer. This agent already put it out on the market for 430. I just did the market analysis because I want to advise you that you should offer what I think you should offer for this price. So for this property. So now that I did this, my advice to you now, because you're the buyer, I'll say to you this. The comps in this market varies a lot. It goes, up to 535. This is a crazy market. I don't think this house is worth 535. I don't think it's going to appraise for 535. So I don't think you should offer 535, is in essence what I'm saying to you. But also in that same breath, I don't think you should offer 380 either. Based on what this analysis that we just did, if you want to win this offer, I believe you should be offering them, is the top end, 455. That's what I think you should offer. That's what I think is going to win you this offer. You can even take a step further. We're such in a crazy market that people are paying 10%, 20% higher than the listed price. If you have the money for it, Mr. Client, you can go higher than the 455. But personally, based on this that we just ran, I believe the most this property will appraise for, if we go on level ground, plain field, we're going to be appraising for around the 455, maybe 460. So I can confidently advise you to offer anything between 450 and 460 for this property. If they really want to go all out and guarantee that they win this offer, I'll offer the seller 465 on this house. Subject to appraisal, of course, because if it doesn't appraise for 465, you can always come back, right? But the idea is to win this offer night that you're telling a buyer, that's what I'll be offering, 455, 460, 465. That's what I'll be offering if I represent the buyer. If I'm representing the seller and I want to list it, the exercise we just did tells us exactly based on this, I'll be listing it for 430. Over 422, under 455. So you got to know how to use your words to guide your client effectively, depending on whether you represent the buyer or where you represent the seller. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
Again, you're just advising the buyer. They can choose to take your advice or not take your advice. But if they turn around and say, we want to offer 400, you at that point, you say to them, I don't think it's going to happen, but you want me to write the offer, I'll write the offer. Based on this market, I don't think that's realistic. Oh, I want you to write it for 530. Nah, except you want to pay cash or you want to guarantee that you're going to, come up with all that money. It's not realistic. 530 is not realistic. I think 455 maximum, under $500,000 is where you want to be if they have the money and they're willing to go that high. Questions?
So you said you would list it at 430 or the 455? I'm confused.
430. I leased that.
430. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you said you would accept an offer at 455.
A 455 offer, 460, 465 is very realistic. I will accept it, yes. And because if an agent brings me an offer for 470, 480, at that point, my conversation with that agent is, if this property does not appraise for 470 that you're writing me, what is your buyer willing to do?
Right.
Because I know 470 is a stretch.
That happened to me.
470 is a stretch. So now you want to get into a different level of conversation. Are you guaranteeing, are you waiving appraisal? Are you guaranteeing that if he doesn't appraise, they're going to pay 10 grand more, 20 grand more? You know, then you need to have that conversation with that. If you represent the seller, you need to have that conversation with the seller. I'm sorry, with the buyer. If you represent the buyer and the buyer says, I want to write a $500,000 offer, you have the same conversation with them. I don't believe this is going to appraise at $500,000. I represent you. You want this house. You're frustrated. We've been looking. But if it doesn't appraise for that, because I've got to explain it to the seller, to the listing agent, for them to accept your offer. And I can make your offer look good for them to accept it. But are you saying to me you're willing to waive appraisal? Are you saying to me you're willing to come up with the difference to that $500,000? Because if you're willing to, I guarantee you they'll accept your offer right now. I'll just write it up and I'll say, my buyer is willing to pay 50 grand over appraisal, or my buyer is willing to cover appraisal up to the sales price, you know? So that way, it means you have the cash. They're gonna accept your offer right now. But you've got to have that, you know, firm, stern, sincere, honest conversation with that buyer so that they know that you're representing them fully. Now, having said that, full disclosure, the agent that put this property on the market is Jimmy. He's going live tomorrow. That's why I know much about that property. I've done the analysis so many different ways on this property, and that's why I know
listed it at 430.
I put it out on the market for 430.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've done analysis on this property for the last 3 months that I've been talking to this client. So I knew when we were in the heat of the market, it was around that 465, 470. The market is cooling down a little bit. So I decided to be a little bit more conservative. So I told them, yes, it's still, you know, the 465 is there, but we could be a little bit low. I want to make sure that we have competition. I don't want us to go crazy. Your house looks great. I still feel 430 is the realistic way to go. And that's the number I've been advising them for the last 3 months. And it's still the same number that I advised them on even as of yesterday. And that's what I put it on. It's coming soon. It actually goes active tomorrow.
Okay. So why do you think that it took 3 months?
The reason why it took us long is because we were actually delaying it because they want to buy another house, but they don't want to go for a resale because the profit they're making from this house, they don't want to give it all up by spending that much money in buying, you know, another resale. So we went for a new build.
Okay.
So we were able to negotiate with the builder to be able to get them, you know, they're going to be closing on their new house by December, you know, so that way I know this house is going to be sold in less than a month, you know, so I wanted to give them that cushion so that way they don't have to spend too much money renting or anything like that. So that's the reason. We had to get the house ready and we also had to get them under contract on the new build and to make sure that we could get it all done. So that's the reason.
Oh, okay. So your client is buying a new build and they haven't started building yet?
It started now.
It started now.
Yeah, but that was the reason why it took us long, because we wanted to be able to be sure when the builder was going to tell us approximately the house will be ready, so that, and that was the logic that I used. So we go on the market tomorrow, right? It takes us, let's say it takes us 2 weeks to get under contract. That means we're not going to be closing until end of August, maybe even the first or second week in September. So that allows them, we close that time, they can rent October, they can rent November, and they move into their house in December, which was ideally what they wanted. They didn't want to have to, go and be in a place for 6 months or anything like that, So I kind of
Yeah.
timed it like that with that conversation, yes. And I also told them, I said, listen, the easy part is to sell your house. The hard part is let's find a house, So it took us time to get that, to make sure that we can find the builder that was, could guarantee us that we're going to fall in that time frame. So that was what part of that conversation as well. Yes. Yeah. Questions?
I've been asking questions, but I do have another question.
Yes, please.
How do us as new agents set ourselves?
We can't hear you. You
Hello? Can you hear me?
You're back.
Yes. Say that again.
Okay.
Yeah, you're back.
How can us as new agents set ourselves apart from a seasoned agent like you that has a rating on HomeSnap of 32 houses in the last 2 years? How do we start out and start? I know you said doing different activities, but when we actually get somebody, we meet somebody, and they're asking us, well, how many houses have you sold? And tell me a little bit about your history. I can say I've had my license for 15 years, but I don't have that history. So
Okay.
how do we appeal?
I'm going to tell you one thing that you need to do that sets you apart. No matter how seasoned an agent is, they all started from somewhere. You don't want to know the honest truth? Nobody looks at your HomeSnap and see those things. Truly, they don't. We as agents get consumed with that. Don't focus on how many you have on HomeSnap. Don't worry yourself about what is showing on HomeSnap or what is not showing. Do not. I promise you. Matter of fact, I beg you not to. Because the reality is people will do business with you the way you approach them. Okay? So I want you to be rest assured.
Sorry.
No problem. I want you to be rest assured and think of it this way. Don't worry about what's on HomeSnap. Don't worry about what's on Google Review. What I want you to worry about and to do is, how did I even get on Google Review and all of these things? Tell your fellow agents to give you reviews. Tell family and friends to write up reviews for you. Send them that link and say to them, just give me a review. You don't need to review and say, hey, Sharice just sold me a house. No, just send me the, oh, Sharice is an awesome agent and an awesome person. She's always there to help. Anything like that. Because any review just brings you up. Number two, marketing is, if I'm not going in front of a prospective seller or buyer to say to them, go look at my Google review or go look at how many houses I've sold, if I haven't sold any or if I don't have any listings. I don't do that. So I use what is advantageous to me. I go back into my experience in the past. So reality for you, you've got your license for 15 years. Why are you trying to tell a story to someone and saying, I've got my license for 15 years, and they can easily go and look and say, okay, but how many houses have you sold? Why don't you tell your story like this? Instead of you focusing on the things that is not necessarily in your mind going to be to your advantage, use it in a totally different way. I know how to resolve issues and problems because I've been doing it for 15 years. I know how to help people buy and sell. They don't need, you don't need to show me the houses that you've sold. You could tout your experience as an investor. You could tout your experience as, a manager. You could tout your experience as someone who understands and reads. Like Judy was saying, I understand contracts. So that becomes what I use, right? I use my values, my proposition values the things that are important, the things that I'm good at, the things that I've done, that people can go and look and prove, that I'm comfortable with. That's what I promote. So Judy can say if she wants to talk to me as a buyer, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't know how many years Judy has sold houses or Sharice has sold houses on what they've sold. You both can come down and say, this is what I do. I understand contracts. So my goal, my focus is to make sure that I help you navigate and negotiate the best deal because I understand contract, because I understand this is what I do. This is what I always do for people. I put their interests at heart. That's one thing. Number two thing that you can do, tout other people's experiences. You can, if you're talking to a seller, a potential seller, or a buyer, you can say, my group, talk about my dream team. You'd be like, I belong to the team that sells hundreds of millions of dollars every single month or year or whatever. Use Jimmy, use Rod Obi. That's why I want you to be so plugged in to our dream team meetings. Use any one of us. Use Manny. Manny is done that. This is, use your team members and what the experience of your team is, and say, I have a team and I have a set of team that works in Virginia, Maryland, DC, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So we're here to assist you and do anything you need done at any point in time. Those things, people believe that and see that and they understand that. Tout, that's the other reason why I said you can take my listing or anybody's listing in eXp Realty and you can promote that listing as if it was your listing. eXp allows us to do that. You're not breaking any law. So you can find Rod Obi's listing and you can promote that as your listing. They don't know any different. Buyers or sellers don't care. We care about those things. Because to us, it's an ego trip. We want to tell people how many we've sold. We want to tell people I'm the best thing since sliced bread. Guess what? Every agent starts from zero. So don't worry about what you haven't done. Focus more on what you want to do and speak in the mindset and terminology of where you're going, not necessarily what you're doing right now. That's important.
I get it. That's great. But what if I do somebody actually asks though? Like, how do I get around that? I just ignore it and go into that type of spiel?
If someone asks you, how many houses have you sold? Right? Is that what your question is?
Yeah. Like,
okay. I haven't sold any. You're going to be the first. I've got a lot of clients I'm working with right now, and I've done many other deals with my other team members, but I haven't sold one. If you want to be absolutely brutal and honest, I haven't sold one. But your confidence in answering that question without skirting around it impresses me as as your potential client because you're honest with me. Yep. Example, someone said to me, someone referred a client to me. And this client that they referred to me was grilling me because they wanted to decide if they were going to actually let me represent them. If I had lied to her, she wouldn't have said yes to me. Because guess what? This is what I found out later on. She asked me a simple question. She said, so how many businesses have you done with Andrea? I've never met Andrea. She's part of the dream team. I've never met her. So when she asked me that question, I said, actually, to be honest with you, we're part of a team. I've never done any businesses with her. I said, matter of fact, I've never even met her. I said, but she referred you to me because I'm licensed in Maryland and DC. Do you know what she said to me in the next breath? Right. Wow, I'm glad you told me that because Andrea and I are friends. We're like this and we go to the same church. And because you told me that truth, I'm signing the agency agreement with you. Let's do it. If I had lied about it, she'd be like, okay, no problems. And then she could have called Andrea and be like, I'm not doing business with that guy. So I don't have any problem if someone says to me, how many houses have you sold? Or have you sold any house in the $1 million range or whatever? I'll be brutally honest, but with confidence. Actually, you're going to be my first house in this neighborhood that I'm listing at $1 million. I've done many other transactions. I've handled millions of dollars in my past life. So I know how to deal with this kind of a situation, but honestly, yes, you're going to be my first $1 million house that I'm going to list. And the way I know I can list your property and sell it for more profit is because, number one, I got the best team behind me. Number two, I got the best set of tools to market your property. I've got clients out of the yin yang right now lining up. I know where to market. I know where to market it to, who to market it to. I've got resources on my phone right now or people that I can call. By the way, my social media presence is blah, blah. If you have a social media presence that you want to tout, oh, by the way, I market to such and such. By the way, I've got investors in my pocket that are actually telling me that are willing to, to let me know if I have properties in this kind of a range. That's how you market yourself. Even if you don't have those investors right now, you do have access to those investors because you belong to the dream team and to the legacy builders. And all you're saying to that client is, I know how to get your property sold, because all it takes is a simple text message and put it in the dream team and say, hey guys, I have a client that's got $1 million and blah, blah, blah. Do you have any buyers for it? Done. People are gonna come. So is that confidence? That's how you get yourself going. So don't shy away from telling them the truth, but just be confident in what you say and how you say it. Yeah.
I was gonna say that because I have 2 clients, and they don't know that I've never sold or helped anyone buy a house.
Yes.
So, but they think that I have all this knowledge,
Exactly.
which I do from my own experiences, because I've purchased 2 homes and I've sold 1 home. So it's like, okay, I do have some of that knowledge and I understand the contracts, but I've never helped anyone else. So, but they don't know that. And they didn't even think to ask, because I guess I just came off very confident, like I knew what I was doing.
And if you're good in sales, if you're a good storyteller with integrity, you will win all the time. Cherise, you have stories that you could tell people. I've got investment properties. You can use it. You can talk up a story in the third person. I've got investment property. I've got land. And if I want to do it in the third person, I can turn around and say, oh, I was helping a client out who has a land, blah, blah, blah. But you're talking about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Tell good stories, but be confident about it. And no one is going to be able to say or know the difference, because your story checks out, because you have integrity and you're saying it from a place of confidence and assurance, knowing what you're trying to do. That's crucial. Okay. So this brings me to what I'm going to leave you all with, and everybody's going to talk before, after I say this. What is your big why? Why are you doing this? Why do you want to be a realtor? Why do you want to sell homes? What is your why? Because your why will propel you, will compel you, will allow you to achieve your goals. Your big why must be what you look at every single day. Have a board that you look at, that you write things down on. Write your clients down, write your goals down. What is your big why? Why do you wake up in the morning? What is that thing that motivates you and pushes you to do what you do? Your big why will be the determining factor and the difference. And by the way, Cherise, Manny, you both have some leads that are transferred to you.
I saw them this evening.
Check your KV code. Now, another thing is this. I am mentoring the 4 of you here. If any one of you needs a lead, let me know. But you have to be accountable for those leads, because I'm going to ask you during the week if you've reached out to those leads. I told you this. My goal is to make you successful. Judy, you need a lead? Let me know. Text me. I'll send you a lead. And in case you guys don't know this, when I send you a lead, I am not sharing the lead with you. I am giving you the lead. I'm giving you soul responsibility and control of that lead. It's your lead. I'm not sharing it, so I'm not going to know anything else that is going on with them. I've transferred ownership to you. It is yours. Call them, because what I'm giving you is the same thing you would have bought from Zillow or Upsy or whatever. I don't want you to spend $1 in buying a lead. So Manny, Judy, Jay, Sharice, you need a lead. Text me. I'll send you. I'm not going to bombard you with too many leads that, I want you to have leads that you're working. Drip them on campaigns. Talk to them. Call them. Make it a point to call them until they say to you, stop calling me. Set up a campaign for them. Just send them, matter of fact, send them houses in like maybe $500,000, $1 million or whatever, just to blow their minds. And then let them respond to you and say, hey, dude, what's wrong with you? I only want houses in $400,000. You never asked that question, but now they told you what they're looking for, right?
They're engaging.
Send them a house in DC, but they're looking for something in Maryland. And then they respond back to you and say, dude, stop bothering me. I don't want to live in DC. I only want to live in Maryland. Oh, I'm sorry. What part of Maryland do you want to live in so I can make sure I say it up correctly? Now you're engaged. That's how you begin to build your portfolio. It goes to what is your why? I'll give you leads. I promise you, because in my KV core, I have about 2,000 leads on there. Are they all going to be good leads? I don't know. But the problem is I've got leads and I'm not calling all of them because I have a lot of business. So what's the point of me just letting them sit down there when I can give it to you and you can work it? So I'm going to give you leads.
Get all of these leads, Jimmy.
Where do I get them? Okay, before I answer the question, let me say this. I'm going to get you going with leads, but now, as you begin to take ownership and you're getting better, then I'll give you other leads from that point. Then I can say, okay, let's do a referral. Let's do whatever. But right now, until you sell at least 3 properties each and you get out of being my official mentees, you're getting free leads. Now, how do I get these leads? Okay, I do campaigns. I put campaigns out. Some of them right now, I've got a company that is doing campaigns for me on Facebook. And all them, I'm spending probably about maybe between maybe $10 to maybe $75 a month, depending on how many leads, But these leads now that I'm beginning to get, I told them, I said, I want to go strictly for seller leads.
Okay.
So, but it's going to still be a mixture. And that's why it's that expensive. You're doing the $75. But if you actually break it down, it's costing me probably about maybe $1 or $2 a lead. But so answering your question, that's how I get leads. I spend money for Facebook ads. I'm not asking anybody anything. I just put, I get them to design the ads and they send it out. To give you, and just let me say this. So I had them do an ad and I got a call from a client. I don't know if I told you guys this. I got a call from the client and the client says, no, she emailed me, she texted me, then she called me because I didn't respond to email. I did not even respond to the text because I was busy. The gist of it was, please take down this ad because it is my house. I'm not trying to sell it. I did not give you the right to use it, and I would love for you to remove it. When she sent me that information, the average agent is going to pick up the phone or get mad and start saying all kinds of stuff to the client. What I did, I picked up the phone and I called her and she picked up. In fact, it was a week ago. We were in this class when she actually called. So when I called her the phone, I said, ma'am, I do apologize. I'm sorry. I have a company in California that does it. I didn't know it was your house. I'll make sure that they remove it. I apologize. She called me again, emailed me and texted me. And I said the same thing. It was then over the weekend, I couldn't reach them and I did, but integrity. I called the company, I said, remove it. And the guy said, okay, I'll remove it. And then I called her back. I said, ma'am, I'm sorry, it's been removed. Check the feed. Obviously, it was someone that follows me on Facebook. But what was the purpose of me telling you this story? You just want to engage with someone. It doesn't matter how they come, but how you treat them matters. After I treated her nicely like that, the lady signed up with me to guarantee me that when she wants to sell her house, she's going to call me. He said to me, I'm going to send you anybody that I know wants to sell or buy a house. Because she said, I love the way you spoke to me. I love your patience. I love the fact that you didn't scream. Other times I could have been frustrated. I'm like, how do I know it's your house? You know, whatever. But the point is, when you're in a public facing environment and you're trying to sell, my wife is here bothering me. She's trying to tell me that my time is up. She can hear you guys out of the way. So, oh, and honey, this is being recorded, so you're going live on YouTube. So, so the idea becomes, when people approach you, treat them the way you want to be treated, and that will make a difference in your business. You just never know. Someone could be having a bad day and they call you. That's why I said you do not want to be an undercover realtor. You always want to talk to people about selling and buying houses. And that's why I also told you, send someone $1 million home. Especially if you've been campaigning and dripping them and they're not responding. Send them something ridiculous that will catch their attention. And before you know it, they might be responding to you. So you treat people nice and your business is going to blow. But I need you to answer that question, because before the end of this week, we've got to talk about that. And I expect to talk to you all before the end of this week. I don't want to make this just a Friday or a Tuesday thing. Text me, ask me during the week. I've got a problem on this one. This is going on. What can you help me with? How can we resolve this? Because your business is very important to me. Because if you're successful, you're answering your big why. Why are you doing this? There's nothing wrong with money. It could be you want to build a legacy. You want to leave something for your kids. You want to leave something to your name. You want to leave something to your favorite charity. But what is your big why? Because your big why is what wakes you up, is why you do what you do. And if you're not hungry enough, you're not going to satisfy your big why. So you need to know what your big why is. I'm quiet. You'll need to talk. I told you I'm going to be quiet.
I'll go first.
Okay.
So my big why is I love real estate. I have owned land since I was probably about 22. And my grandfather owned probably about 4 or 5 properties. So I started out young with the love of property and, just owning. And I want to help other people experience the same thing. Real estate is wealth. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I just want to be able to teach people and help people get there. And also for financial stability.
So to contribute to what you just said, that is what you write your bio about. And that's how you design your business and drive your business forward. That's your story. That propels you to do what you need to do. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So I have done, back in 2009, I did the real estate course and things like that. And I never did anything with it, but it's always been a thing that I wanted to do. And in 2009, I was laid off from a job and I said, okay, I'll go into real estate. And then I ended up finding a job. And so I stayed with that company for 11 years. Fast forward 2020 COVID, I was laid off again. And I was like, okay, I always wanted to, I started a clothing line business, but I've always wanted to do real estate. And it's about the education part for me. Like, I just feel like a bunch of kids, they don't understand, like young kids, especially when I was young, we didn't understand real estate. And we don't understand that we take our money and spend it on Jordans and, you know, all of this stuff, and we're not invested in anything. And I started talking to my niece about it, and she got me really excited about going into real estate again. And she, you know, she's soaking up everything that I'm telling her, and she's getting it. So it's about me educating people, letting them know that, you know, this is something that's always going to appreciate and value, and you will always get your return on that. And so having the love for it, and then being able to help someone else, and also being in control of what I'm doing and not letting anyone else control my, you know, my finances, and, you know, just doing what I love. I that's my why.
Awesome. And that again also is what you design your goal and your drive to make you succeed in this business about. Your why, the fact that you want other people to succeed. You want them to have a legacy. You want them to have, you want to have a control of their own future and destiny.
Yep.
Never ever having to be in a situation where someone dictates you and say, okay, you know what? That's it. You're fired, right? Because those things matter. Why am I going to let someone else put a dollar amount when I'm working for someone? When I was working for someone and I was making an extremely high six figure every single month that I got paid, the guy, before I get my check, he's like, he's holding my check in his hand like this. Before I know what I've made, I know what you're going to pay me, but I have to listen to a 5-minute to a 10-minute lecture before you give me my check. I was like, I will never let that happen again.
Right.
And that's the same thing that you say. Someone to say, you know what, you're fired or get laid off.
And I think that is what propelled me into doing this, plus having my other business. It's just me generating my own wealth and building something that no one else can take away from me. This has to come from me. It doesn't come from anyone else. No one can put a cap on my salary. I know that if I work hard and I'm determined, I'm going to make what I feel I am worth.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Julie. That's good.
Yeah, you want to go next or you want me to go next?
Sorry?
I'm asking Jay if he wants to go next.
Go ahead, Manny.
All right, cool. There's several reasons why I got into this business, and everything that you ladies have said is one of them. It's to build my generational wealth. It's to not having to worry about somebody laying me off. Matter of fact, I quit my full-time real estate. I'm sorry, I quit my full-time retail management job for real estate. And I jumped into it with a leap of faith. But my biggest why really is that feeling I get when I help a family that has been turned down by other people, by other lenders, and having them say, I'm going to give up, and then taking them by the hand and say, no, you're not going to give up. We're going to keep walking through this right here, because we're going to walk through this valley, and it's going to get dark, and it's going to be screaming, and you got to have patience, and you got to believe in me, and you got to believe in everything that I'm telling you. But that is my biggest why, is to help these families and get into a home. That is my biggest why. Yeah, we all work for money. We all want that compensation, that high, and you know, it's going to come. But that is my biggest why, is to see these children find homes that are living in apartments, and they're living just packed up in like one bedroom and so forth. That's my biggest why, is I want to see that smile turn around, that family say, man, that right there is like my guy. That's my hero. That's who I want doing things for me and my family. And that's going to become just what I really want it to become.
You know, you sharing that and saying that is one of my biggest whys. You know, because there's nothing better to see a family have a legacy, to just change the transform the life of an individual or family, to give them the best gift, you know, the slice of the American dream, the slice of just having that confidence, that peace that this is mine, is one of my biggest whys, and is one of the things that will make everybody in here successful, because everyone is have that undertone in what they're saying. Because what you're saying is you are willing, ready to help someone or a family to get the best thing that they can possibly have. And in doing that, in that process, you're going to get blessed. You're going to get everything you want. So thank you for saying that. Jay.
Oh, man. Well, Manny, that was deep. I should have went first before you, Manny.
I asked you.
Like, Jesus. No, Manny,
Drop the mic on you, buddy.
I'm just going to touch in what everybody else said, you ladies and Manny, and it's just, you know, financial freedom, big in a legacy, and helping our people. You know, Manny understands that our people are, you know, they come into this country as immigrants and they don't really understand the rules, the laws, and how can we educate them and help them? You know, Manny touched that. That's my big why, and to leave something for my kids as well.
Jay, it's also the people that live here that don't understand the laws as well. Like, they're born and raised here, but they don't understand, you know, the things that they can do and what they can achieve because no one has taught them.
Correct.
You know, just to kind of like button up what you just said and what Judy added to that. As minorities, it's important for us to remember and to know one thing, that if we don't know or understand, we're only hurting ourselves. Mm-hmm. And because now we're beginning to know, and each and every one of us represented here, that's why I love the fact of every single thing that you all have said, because this is our story. And makes the difference and begins to make the difference is we're lifting one person, one family at a time. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that can replace that. And that is where your satisfaction is. The reason why I asked everybody to talk about what your big whys are, because when you get tired, when you get weary, when you get those no's, when you're talking to a client or a potential client, and they say to you, why do I have to do this? I don't understand. That's what you want to use to propel yourself and remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. You're changing lives. You educating and re-educating people. We assume that we know. We assume that, you know, just because I was born here, or because I migrated here, or because, you know, I've been renting for forever, that's the norm. No. We need to begin to educate people, let them understand that there is a better way. There is a different way how you can build your legacy. That is one of the things that ought to propel us in doing this business that we're doing. And I'm saying that also to give you this challenge of a way that you can actually become extremely successful. When you know what your big why is, that's what pushes you. It's no longer the money. The money is a byproduct. You cannot help yourself but be wealthy doing what you're doing best. You're going to be wealthy. There's no two ways about that. But when you know what your why is and why you're doing it, that's what keeps you going when it gets tough. When you can see someone who's willingly, gladly paying $1,700 a month, $2,000 a month, renting a property, and you can help them, show them, guide them, and say to them, you can be in a house paying the same amount of money. The difference is, or less, the difference is it might be a little bit painful, because you have to put some money together as down payment. But the difference is every year when you filing your taxes, you can claim up to $10,000 in interest. That's a good reason why you need to do this. And I'm glad that everyone over here, what we talked about, the money is a byproduct, it's going to happen. But every one of us, you all have a heart and a desire to help people, to build a legacy, to do something bigger than ourselves. And that is what it's all about. And I'm so honored to mentor each and every one of you. I know we've gone over a long time here, but this is important. And that's why I say to you guys, I beg of you, seriously, please use me any which way you can. I may not be on the phone calling you all the time, but please text me if you have a question. Take advantage of the Dream Team. Text in the group text. Text me directly and say, Jimmy, I have a question. Manny does that all the time, and I love it, because this is helping me to be better. He's helping me to be able to pour into you, because you might think I'm pouring into you and I'm teaching you and everything. I'm learning every single time we're talking. I look forward to these Tuesday conversations because it helps me, it sharpens me. But what you guys have taught me and what you've said tonight that is so much more important is this. When we put other people first, when we show other people and willing to help them, you're going to be blessed. Find something you enjoy doing and you'll never work a day in your life.
Yes.
Help
Amen.
other people to get what they want. You will never, ever lack in your life. Because if you help enough people to get what they want, you will always get whatever you want and desire and what you need. So remember that.
Reap what you sow.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. So I'm really glad and excited. Let's wrap it up. Everybody's tired and sleepy. So let's wrap it up. Except if you have any questions, and if you do, text me,
Thank you, Jimmy.
So I can still be married. Just text me. I can easily text. That way I'm no longer on the phone. But not
I
seriously.
got my fiance over here coming to the door too.
Text me any questions that you have. Let's make this happen. During the week, tomorrow, please, let's do this. The leads that you have, start dripping them, work them. Again, if you want any lead and you need any lead, let me know. Jay, let's get it going. I know you're trying to get some things going. Let's get all those things established and going, and we're going to rock. But call those leads. Start campaigning. Put to practice what you said your whys are. And that's what's going to propel you. Don't forget your why. Write it down. Write it every day. Keep writing it down. Refine it. Remind yourselves. Pray over it. Speak it back to yourself, because that's what's going to keep you going when it gets tough. I love you guys, man.
Thank you,
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You too.
My speaker earners.
Good night, everyone.
Let's do it.
All right, bro. Good night.
All
Good
right.
night.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone.
You're
Night.
welcome.
Bye.
My pleasure.
Night.
My pleasure.
Good night, ladies. Good
Good
night, Manny.
night.
Let's make it happen.
We will.
All right.
Have a good one, Jimmy.
Yes, ma'am. You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.